ESG-Oriented Supply Chain Management in Battery Manufacturing, a framework for sustainable battery supply chains in the clean energy transition. Good afternoon, chairpersons, esteemed professors, colleagues, and guests joining us online. My name is Tsung-Hsien. It is a great honor to present our research on behalf of our team at today's IIARP Glovento Conference during Technical Session 2. The topic of our presentation is ESG-Oriented Supply Chain Management in Battery Manufacturing, and this is a study from Taiwan. First, please allow me to introduce our team. The first author, Professor Shih-Tong, and myself, Assistant Professor Tsung-Hsien, are from Kenan University in Taoyuan, Taiwan. The second author, Ms. Stacy Chen, is a senior executive from Selkspert Energy Corporation, a leading battery manufacturer in Taiwan. The fourth author, Ms. Chia-Hsin Chen, is a PhD candidate from National Central University, also in Taiwan. Let's begin with the core challenges facing the battery industry. This industry is at the epicenter of the clean energy transition, yet it confronts a critical paradox. Its supply chain is fraught with acute environmental, social, and governance risks, what we term ESG vulnerabilities, that undermine its sustainability credentials. These risks can be categorized into three main pillars. First, on social issues, severe human rights abuses, such as child and forced labor in the mining of minerals like cobalt, are a well-documented challenge. Second, regarding environmental impact, threats range from ecological damage at mining sites to a massive carbon footprint from energy-intensive manufacturing and end-of-life waste challenges. Third, in terms of governance gaps, a lack of transparency and traceability is pervasive, making it difficult to detect and manage non-compliant practices. These risks are not just ethical concerns. They are a mission-critical imperative affecting market access and corporate survival. Precisely because of these challenges, stakeholders are exerting immense pressure for greater accountability. First, governments. The EU's new batteries regulation, for instance, mandates carbon footprint declarations, full life cycle traceability via a digital battery passport, and supply chain due diligence. Second, investors. The financial community has made ESG performance a critical determinant of corporate valuation and access to capital. Finally, consumers and NGOs. They demand that the green solution of batteries must itself be produced sustainably and ethically. Together, these pressures have transformed ESG management from a CSR activity into a strategic imperative. Based on this context, our research has four main objectives. First, to analyze the critical ESG issues across the battery supply chain. Second, to develop a practical and structured ESG evaluation framework tailored for the battery industry. Third, to provide an empirically based prioritization of these ESG factors through expert input. And fourth, to offer actionable sustainability guidance for both manufacturers and policymakers. To address these challenges, we need a systematic approach. This is the role played by an ESG framework. ESG, which stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance, provides a comprehensive lens through which to examine a company's sustainability performance. In simple terms, this framework organizes a wide range of sustainability issues into three core pillars. It allows us to systematically analyze the various risks and opportunities within the battery supply chain. On the next page, we will show you the specific evaluation framework our research has developed for the battery industry. This is the three-level hierarchical framework we developed, based on an extensive review of literature, industry standards, and the UN SDGs. This structure covers three primary dimensions, which are further broken down into 13 specific evaluation criteria. Under the environmental responsibility dimension, we have 5 criteria. Under the social responsibility dimension, there are 4 criteria. Finally, the governance and ethical conduct dimension also has 4 criteria. This comprehensive framework covers all key issues and provided a clear and robust structure for our subsequent quantitative analysis. So, how did we determine the priorities among these complex factors? This required a scientific research method. In our study, we employed the Consistent Fuzzy Preference Relations method, or CFPR. We chose this method because it has distinct advantages over the traditional analytic hierarchy process, or AHP. When dealing with numerous criteria, AHP requires a large number of pairwise comparisons, which can easily lead to inconsistent judgments. The CFPR method, however, leverages its mathematical properties to significantly simplify this process. For N criteria, an expert only needs to perform a minimum of N1 comparisons to construct a complete and mathematically consistent preference matrix. This ensures greater reliability and efficiency. Our empirical data was collected from a panel of 20 experts from the battery industry supply chain in Taiwan, with roles spanning procurement, quality assurance, and engineering. After applying the CFPR method, we obtained clear, empirically grounded results. The study's most significant finding is the relative weighting of the three primary dimensions. Social responsibility received the highest priority with a weight of 0.381, followed by governance and ethical conduct at 0.332, and finally environmental responsibility at 0.287. This result strongly indicates that, from the perspective of our expert panel in Taiwan, industry practitioners perceive social and governance risks, such as human rights abuses, regulatory noncompliance, and supply chain opacity, as more immediate and critical business threats than purely environmental concerns. Diving deeper into the 13 criteria reveals 4 key findings. First, human rights are the top priority. Human rights, labor practices, and decent work emerged as the single most critical factor, confirming that securing a social license to operate is fundamental. Second, governance is the critical solution. Within governance, regulatory compliance and supply chain transparency ranked highest. This suggests that strong governance, especially transparency, is the master lever that enables progress on all ESG issues. Third, in the environmental dimension, circular economy and sustainable sourcing were prioritized over climate change mitigation. This reflects tangible concerns about resource scarcity and waste management. Fourth, safety is paramount. Both internal occupational health and safety and external product safety ranked very high in their respective dimensions, highlighting safety as a non-negotiable bottom line. Based on these findings, we propose a prioritized strategic roadmap with 3 core pillars. First, fortify the social foundation. Immediately implement rigorous, risk-based human rights due diligence across all supply chain tiers, aligned with UN and OECD guidelines. Second, build a governance framework of transparency. Invest in traceability technologies like digital passports to meet regulatory demands and mitigate risk. Establish proactive monitoring of the evolving global ESG legal landscape. And third, embrace the circular economy. Develop robust reverse logistics and recycling infrastructure to create a closed-loop system for critical materials, and integrate design for circularity principles into product development. Finally, our conclusion is that integrating ESG into supply chain management is no longer optional. It is a strategic imperative for business survival and growth. The key takeaway from our research is this: prioritize social and governance improvements as the foundation for achieving environmental gains. Strong ESG performance not only reduces risk, enhances reputation, and creates long-term sustainable value. As the quote on our slide states, companies have shifted from viewing ESG as a passive compliance burden to treating it as a strategic imperative that creates competitive advantage. This concludes my presentation. Thank you again for your attention.